Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Citrix Application Delivery Management Service monthly webinar for September 2022. Who are online today? Myself, Avinash Kumar Pandey, who is your host as well as the panelist, and my colleague Karthik Srivasan and Arvind Kandula. What is the agenda for today? Today I will be taking you through the ADM service overview for all those who are new registered and who have yet not started using the ADM service. So it will be a brief introduction over what are the benefits of ADM service and how you can get started with quick uh, 3 steps. Then the second one will start with the various enhancements, feature enhancements which has come since our last connect over the ADM service. Which of them? The first will be SNMP version 3 support for SDX configuration on ADM, then followed by Karthik, who will be taking us through the few enhancements around the application analytics. First one being the support for CSV format and schedule support for web transition analytics. Then he will walk us through the improvements which has been done over the unified dashboard, followed by a few of the cipher related issues which now we have started highlighting within the web insight section. Then we'll be covering through the licensing survey, where we'll take your feedback over the current licensing models which has been provided around the CADs from Citrix. Then we'll be talking through the primer section, wherein every month I come and give you the brief or walkthrough of the one of the features of ADM. This month we are targeting role-based access control over the ADM. So that's about the agenda. So before we talk about all those, let's first talk about what is the overview and how you can start with the ADM in very quick 3 steps. First of all, you need to create a Citrix cloud account. Once you've created a cloud account, you need to select the ADM service from the offerings. Therein, you have to select the built-in agent, which means you don't have to worry about having an infrastructure ready with on-prem agents or anything to discover your ADCs. Just select built-in and your ADCs, in order to discover them, copy the service URL and activation code, and your ADC will be discovered and available over ADM for management and monitoring. So let's talk about what are the various advantages of this service. So ADM service is very agile, which means it's very easy to operate. Latest updates gets pushed, which means you have all the updates which are pushed on a bi-weekly basis. There are no hassles of high availability or disaster recovery, unlike you have on on-prem, typical on-prem deployments. It has a very faster time to value, which means you get started in few clicks. Even if you saw the example in previous slide where I talked about onboarding, we just get started in few clicks. Then state of art advanced machine learning, wherein all the applications which are configured over your ADC, once a ADC is discovered, all the applications which you have, once you have the analytics enabled, it gives you all the data around the application performance, and our advanced machine learning gives you the holistic view of how your application has been performing, and it shows you all the points which can be proactively taken care to optimize that application performance. Then it has a very low operational cost, which means in very less time, money, and less resources are required to manage, being a cloud service. Last, not the last, but the second last, pretty much any ADC environment, be it a public cloud ADC or is it an on-prem ADC, whether it is a VPX, CPX, SDX, MPX, or it is a hybrid wherein you have a mix of both cloud and on-prem ADCs, everything is supported. And any application, whether it is a monolithic application, microservice applications, analytics and manageability is available across all kind of applications. So let's say you have decided to try over the ADM service. So by default, ADM starts the experience with an express tier. This is the premium version of the ADM license, in which you get unlimited access, or basically we said there is no restriction onto the number of virtual servers you can go over and look into the network functions and network reporting. There is literally no limitation on how many configuration jobs the style books you can configure. However, the analytics is only limited to the 2 virtual servers, which means you can try any of the analytics on maximum 2 virtual servers. And of course, the data retention has been capped to 500 MB or 1 day, whichever is lesser. So as if you have already tried and you're satisfied with the ADM service functionality and benefits it's giving you, And if you want to go and open the more capability and want to configure analytics over more applications, then we have an advanced tier application, advanced tier licensing, in which pretty much you can now open up, not restricted to two, but you can open up all the analytics, whether it is HDX Gateway, Web SSL Insight, application dashboard, ML based app security analytics, everything will be available for you. And in case, due to practical reasons, at times, even though with every SKU of VIP licenses, you do get a storage, but if you're not satisfied with, or your needs are not catering with the available storage, there's a separate storage SKU which you can always buy out and increase the storage as per your need. Let's move to the next section. Now here I will be talking about on a monthly basis. Since our last connect, every month I take all the audience through the new features or enhancement which has been coming over. As I said, right, bi-weekly updates are pushed over the ADM service. So all the new advanced and feature enhancement first comes over the ADM service. So we'll talk about all in one liners on what all enhancements has been covered so far from our last connect. So under the management and monitoring, now this is a customer request which has came up that we didn't have the support for SNMP v3 over the SDX configuration when by trying to add an over the ADM. So this is now available. We'll be talking in detail over this in the upcoming slides. Then onboarding. Now this is for more for the new users. Now while selecting the region on at the time of onboarding over ADM service, you have the option to select the country in that region, whichever you want to select for onboarding. Around the analytics, we have improvement over the unified dashboard and website, Web Insight. We have the improvement around. You can now see the Cypher related issues in detail. These all will be covered by Karthik in today's session. And last is the improved around the style books, where we have the improved default style book configuration on a load balancing virtual server. So as I said, right, based on the time available, we'll try to cover whatever are possible in one session. Anything which enhancements which we don't talk in the current session will be carried forward and discussed in detail in the upcoming webinars. So stay connected for the future webinars as well. In case you want to read right now and you want to start leveraging it, you can always visit to our documentation site and go into the release notes to understand more, and it will have the link around these enhancements to talk and walk you in detail on how to configure these. So with this, I will start with the first session of the day, which is the support for SNMP version 3. So as we know, right, for the discovery of the SDX and for the ADM to manage, we need to have the SNMP enabled so that ADM can act as a manager to poll and get all the stats and data from the SDX. So earlier, the support was for SNMP version 2, so, and SNMP version 3 being more secure. It was asked by many customers to have this support. So now we have the support where you have an option to choose. All you have to do at while navigating into the infrastructure, Citrix ADC SDX tab, you can select profile and select SNMP v3 and select the desired security level to perform this. Let's have a quick look onto the ADM service UI to see where this option is available. So if I go onto the ADM UI, under the instances, infrastructure instance, ADC, then you go into the SDX tab. There you have the option to create a profile. So before adding a SDX, it's just always better to create a profile, or you have an option even at the time of adding an SDX to create a profile. Either way you can go. Intent is when you try to add an profile, that time you have an option. Earlier it was only giving version 2. Now you have the option to select version 3, and then you can give the security name. Select the authentication of your choice, whether you want to give with privacy auth or no privacy, or auth with privacy. All the three options are available. Based on the option you select, you can configure the respective parameters, and ADM will start leveraging v3 to communicate with the SDX for management related informations which it receives. So with this, I will take a quick pause here, and I will over to you, Karthik. Am I audible?
Avinash? Yes. All right. Thank you. Let me know if you're able to see my screen. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So in this section, we will cover about what enhancements and improvements have come from analytics side on the ADM service. So there are three things that we will discuss in the course of this presentation today. First one is the ability for the admins to schedule export reports in web transaction analytics, and they would be able to download their reports in a CSV format. And they also have the ability to schedule those exports in the ADM service. The second one is that there have been a few improvements done in the overview dashboard drill down. So we've had only 4 parent widgets, but there have been multiple sub widgets available. So in this particular enhancement, we now provide the flexibility for the admins to choose the relevant sub widgets and the parent widgets of choice in their dashboard view. And finally, in Web Insight, we are going to provide the admins a drill down for looking at SSL errors in detail. So you could have SSL errors like cipher mismatch or a protocol mismatch. And we now allow you to drill down into that and have a better view of what protocols there are and which applications are suffering these SSL errors. Let's go through the first one. This is for the support of CSV format and schedule export in web transaction analytics. So let's talk about the customer value. So admins can now download the web transaction logs in a CSV format and share and store the data. So typically we see the admins usually generate reports for their management, and web transaction logs could have multiple information like the 5xx errors or the 4xx errors. And if you wanted to create pivots or any data from web transaction logs, you can now download them as a CSV and create any Excel functions on that sheet. The second thing that we extend the ability for the admins is to be able to do this as a scheduled report. So you don't want to keep downloading these on-demand reports, but now since it's going to be like a specific frequency for the admins to share the data to their management, they can set a specific frequency and automate the complete transaction log export data generation process. Let's just take a quick look at the snapshots and then we'll segue into the demo. So as you see, I am inside an application called API Pet Store. And from that, I click on the top right export icon. Once I do that, I get the ability to have export now and schedule report. So you click on a schedule report, and then you will get a blade that tells you to fill a few information. The subject, many things are pre-populated. You just have to select the export file format, which in this case is CSV. You have the recurrence. It can be daily, weekly, or monthly. And then you enter the export time, how many records you want to export. Typically, we allow this to be chosen by the admins, and you can go up to 10,000 records. And then choose email or Slack to deliver this at a timed frequency to your email or Slack channel. Let's quickly go to the demonstration. So we'll go to the application dashboard. This is our ADM service view. We'll click on an application called API Gateway Pet Store. Then I'll click on the transaction logs. Here you can find the export button. You click on the export button. Then as I showed in the snapshots, you'll get this ability to export now or schedule. You can click on schedule export and then click on the CSV format. Select a time, say 14:20. I want to enter, schedule the export. And then you can schedule how many records you want as part of it, and then choose email or Slack, and then schedule. So if you don't have anything, you can create a new email distribution list. And then add your email. So once you add it, you would be able to choose from whatever you created, and then you can schedule it. So once you schedule, you'll be able to see the schedule entry getting created, and with this, it will execute at that particular time and then be able to provide the reports. So this is the final report that you would get as an email. You will get the transaction log CSV attached as part of your email. Then this will also let you know that it has come from the Citrix ADM service as part of your rule exercising. Let's go to the next one. So as I said, we have done a few customizations to the overview dashboard. So overview dashboard is a very important first level single pane landing page for majority of the admins to be able to see how your deployment is faring. It has 4 key widgets: the application, the infrastructure, the security, and the gateway. So we had these 4 top categories as main parent widgets in the previous drop. So with this new value enhancement, what we have done is each of the specific container inside that parent widget has been made as a flexible sub widget. We'll see that in the demonstration, but now the admins have the ability to better customize the view of the dashboard by not just removing or adding the parent widgets, but be able to go one level down and make sure the sub widgets of relevance are there on the dashboard. And if your widgets are removed, you also have the ability to re-add them back. Let's take a quick look at the demonstration. So our overview dashboard is on the left nav. So as you see, we have an edit dashboard. So this is our application view. So when I click on the edit dashboard, you can now see that we have all these sub widgets being given of the ability to remove or dismiss the widgets. So assume that the admin does not want to look at the SSL config optimization and the app config optimization. So he can simply go ahead and make sure that he removes the widgets of choice and then simply go ahead and save this view. So once the view is saved, any widget where the customization has been made, the dashboard is rendered with the latest customization that the admin has done. So as I said, this ensures that the admins can have widgets of relevance and importance in the dashboard view. And if you wanted to re-add those back, we have the button called add widget, where it automatically provides you only those widgets that have been removed as part of your customization. And you can either bring them all back or just bring one of them back. So as you see, the app config optimization has come. If I save this, then you see that the dashboard view gets refreshed with the latest changes that have been done. So this is an important space to watch out for, the overview dashboard. We are continuously getting feedback from the customers, and we are making sure that there is data of relevance and there is customization of relevance for the admins, because this is the landing page. Okay, let's go to the last segment of analytics enhancements. So as I said, today Web Insight hosts a myriad of metrics, which is used by the admins in summary form. It provides us top applications, top geos, top browsers, and overall SSL errors and SSL usage patterns of the deployment in a summary page. So we have provided the ability for the admins to drill down on the SSL errors and go to the next level to find out how many transactions there are which have failed due to SSL errors because of a protocol mismatch or a cipher mismatch, and then find out which applications are facing those errors, because SSL having transaction failures is very critical to the organization, and you can't afford to not know or have visibility of which applications are having such problems. So this is the Web Insight section for SSL errors. So you have the cipher mismatch. This has already been there, but what was missing from this specific UI is the ability to click on the entry called cipher mismatch and be able to drill down. So now admins get this new second level drill down view where we provide recommended actions. So this is something that we think is good for the admins to know on what can be done when you see cipher mismatch. So you review your performance and security needs, and maybe you choose to rebind the cipher to the impacted applications, And we also suggest, if you do plan to rebind a mismatching cipher to the applications that's listed here, what is it that we recommend you to do? We lay that out for the admins as well. And as you see, the SSL cipher section, which is highlighted in green, has number of occurrences. We see around 1.5K occurrences, which are failing due to the cipher mismatch. And we say which of the applications are facing the cipher mismatch and the top clients which are accessing these apps that are facing the cipher mismatch. So overall, this is the analytics enhancements that we've brought as a value prop for the admins. I hope this gives a good amount of flexibility and value delivery for the admins while they use the ADM service in their daily operations. There's more to come on analytics side in future drops, so stay tuned. Over to you, Avinash.
Thanks, Karthik. Thanks for wonderful overview. Definitely, Cypher suit and keeping the security posture correct is one of the very useful insights to have. With this, I will again switch the presenter mode to myself. Okay, so now we'll start with the primer section, and where I will be taking you through the basics of role-based access control on over ADM, how you can use and define user persona specific roles and visibility of the ADM management and usability. So let's quickly have a walk through that. So why we need a role-based access, right? So in this role-based access over ADM, you want to have a very feature and a resource level access control for a user or an administrator who you want to allocate or a responsibility over a certain application or an instance or a feature. You have that level of control using the profiles, and then the policies. Then you can determine whether you want to give a view access, edit access, enable, disable of any feature. All those controls can be given. Then roles are bound to these policies, and then you, of course, you have the groups. Let's say you have a group of users whom you want to have the common allocation or common level of access you want to delegate. Then of course you have to configuration those authorization settings within the group. We'll be talking in detail once we go through the demo. So what is the use case we are gonna concentrate today? So today we'll see how a network admin can restrict an access for a user who needs to have an access over a very specific application. So what he can get, what he can do. So intent is that he should be allowed only to view a ADC instance which has those required applications present. Then give him access to view, edit, enable and disable access to those applications via network function. And then we'll give him the edit or access, of course, into the analytics, because that is the prime use case for an app admin to understand how their application is performing. So over application dashboard, he should be having access for that specific allowed application. And then yes, within the inside, as I was saying, we should have visibility for the required application. These are the only application access I intend to provide for that app admin. So let's quickly go back to the demo and let's see how it can be done. So before we talk about and go through the RBAC's things, let's see how typically a journey starts. So as an administrator, your journey to onboard and user will come with creating an identity and access. So we'll talk in RBAC how you can assign the groups, but this is how you go and assign an access or invite a user to. So here, let's say I go into once I'm into the identity and access management, I have basically by the time it loads, I just want to talk to you about that. You have two options to do it. First, either you can use the Citrix identity, wherein you can select the Citrix identity provider and invite the user, or you can configure an Azure. You can basically link your Citrix cloud account with the authentication point being the Azure Active Directory, and then you can invite users based upon a group of user or the users individual user within that within your Azure Active Directory. So both options, as you see, are available here. So the mode you select is the experience user will have in onboarding or getting into the access for the ADM. So for example, if it is in Citrix identity you select, then typically the invite goes from the Citrix cloud. An email will go and they have to consume that URL within 24 hours and get onboarded, or basically start using the ADM service. Um, or if you select the Azure AD as an identity provider, in that case, user doesn't have to go and click on any invite link. You just have to select Azure AD, log in into the Azure AD from here, and then it will give you an option to select whether you want to give a group or an individual set of user, or a user or group of users whom you want to provide that access. You can select it. So for example, let's say if I take an example of, I have sent a request to this demo group where I have list of users which I have provided access. So if I go here, I will see all those groups which I have created under the Active Directories, under the RBAC in the ADM, which will reflect here. So you have to select that particular group which will have defined policies, authorization, and the profile access profiles which can provide access or give the user experience on onto which instance or which feature or which application you want to provide access for. So now we'll go back into the ADM service and into the RBAC and see how this group was created and what all level of access, as I talked in the use case, has been given to that user. So going back again, I click on manage. So by the time it loads and we talk about RBAC, as I said, right, I wanted to provide a very limited access for a user where I want to give him access to a very specific application. So as you see, this is the user, which is Avinash Gmail. Let's say, for example, this is one of the demo account I have used. So when a user logs in, he will typically have a very restricted access. As you see, I have given a very specific number of instances which I want this user to have access to. Within the applications in the network function, he will only have access to those applications for which I have provided. So all the related services, service groups, or servers which are part of that allowed application which I have given, he will have access. Now here I can control whether I want to give him enable, disable, or edit access. For example, in this case, I might not have given. So we'll go ahead and try to tweak these settings and see how this user access gets changed as soon as I make changes over the RBAC. So I think by this time this should have loaded. Yeah. So for creating an RBAC, you have to go into settings, users, roles. There you will see four sections: users, groups, roles, and access policy. First and foremost thing, you have to create an access policy. Access policy is the place where you define what all feature level access or instance level features level access you want to give an user in here on the left pane. So let's say, for example, I have created here a policy with the name Web Inside Access. If I go and look into what all details I have provided for this user, as you saw that in this screenshot or into this access which I have provided for this user, right now he doesn't have enable, disable button. All the things are grayed out. So we'll see how I can provide a edit level access for these. So coming back to the setting, so here you will have all the feature related tabs where you can provide the respective access. For example, I have given that user access to application, into the application dashboard, and web insight. And within infrastructure, I have given access only for him to view the instances, as I said in our use case, and I have not given him the execute or edit permission. That's why those are grayed out. And within the network function as well, in the load balancing, I have given here him the edit or view function. So let's try to give him the execute permission. But before I do this, let's talk about other part of the feature tabs which are available under the RBAC. So once you have created the required access policy, then you have to create the role wherein you will pull those required policies which you have created. So here I have created a role in which I have called that policy which I have created for the user or a set of or a group of users, which I have added here. And the most important part where you actually provide what all authorizations you want to provide for that user is configured under the groups. So this is the group, as you saw while I was showing into the identity and access management. This is the group I have created here, and I've just selected this or called this group at the time of inviting a user via Citrix identity, or if it is an Azure Active Directory, then I just select that group from the available configured group within the Azure Active Directory, and I can assign this which has all the right authorization level set for the user to experience the access of ADM service. So it will take a moment to load all the configurations for this group. So let's go to next. As you see here, I have already selected the role which was created. And now here, the reason user was only able to see two instances is because I have given access to these two setups. One is our cloud ADC, another is the on-prem HA pair. Now, either I can give access to all the applications for the user, or I can select individual application, or I can give all the applications which I have selected on top from the list of instances, or I can be very specific. So right here I have selected very specific individual entity type, and then I can add. In case I don't want to complicate the things and you want to give access, a very generic access of a read basis on whatever policy, let's say I've created a view only for all the network function, all the virtual servers. I can just select all application here, and the moment I do that, all the applications will be visible for the user with the view access. But in this example, I have just selected these two applications. You can always go ahead and add as many as applications you want for that particular group user or group of user. And then of course, if in case you don't want to give access to application service, virtual servers, service groups, and you want to restrict it, then you can always select a particular service. Just wanted to highlight one point here. You can have a combination where you can either select as instance and you can select the application from that, or I can still go ahead, even though I've given a instance, these two I can select a application from a third instance. So all kind of combinations are possible while authorizing the access to the user. And then of course you can configure and restrict the access. So right now, as you see, I have applied to all bound entities, which means for all these bound entities I have given access for a user to view its services, its backend actual servers, its LBV server. All the details are visible for that user. So if you see in this account, this user has visibility on all the 4 points, or all the four things under the network function. Okay. Then of course, if in case you have a administrator whom you want to provide access for the configuration, of course you can enable either all configuration templates, or you can add a specific configuration template. Like for in this example, you can see that even I have given a config template and a style book configuration pack as well, but still you don't see those available for the user. So this is a typical mistake a lot of time users does, that they go ahead and authorize, but still they don't end up seeing here. Reason being it is not visible here is because the way you would have configured your access policies. In the access policy, if you recall, I had not configured the access, or I have not enabled the access for the user for configuration job or stylebook configuration packs, and that's the reason why it is not visible here. Same goes for if you see here under the list of infrastructure instances, I have a host of ADCs which are present. It could be a lot of CPXs, VPXs, but user is not able to see. Only those which I have given will be visible for him. Same if you see, because I'm a super admin, I'm able to see everything. Here, even under the applications in the dashboard, I can see as I can have as I have visibility to all the instances, everything. I can view all the applications. But for that user, if I go back, I can, this user I have only, if you recall, I have only assigned two applications, and that's the reason only two applications are visible for this particular app administrator. So let's go ahead and see what all I have given to him. So under this, if I go and I want to see, I have also given this user an access to the web insight, which means it can observe all the key performance matrices, and even if he wants, he can go into the web insight, and it will have visibility of the web insight analytics for those applications for which I have given access for this user. So this is how you can control the access for the user using the role-based access control. Now, one last point I wanted to discuss here is, if I go back here onto the groups, And again, I go into the edit mode. Now here, as I was talking about, uh, okay, I'll allow it to load. Yeah. So as I was talking about, right, based upon whatever the access policies you have defined, those those only once you configure here will be available to the user. So no matter if I configure whatever things here and provide an authorization for the user, unless until you don't open up or enable those visibility from the policies, user will not be able to access. Now the next and important part is assigning the users, right? So as I was showing, right, from the identity and access management you can assign, or if you have a if you already have a user which is already onboarded and has been part of the user list onto the ADM service, you will see all the list of users here. So you can manually also add the users here. But if it is a so like this user has got added here because this is part of of Azure AD Directory demo group user. That's why this got automatically added. But if you want that there are some manually added user via the Citrix identity and you want them to be part of the group, you can add in here. so so this essentially highlight one important aspect is that whether it is a Citrix identity or an Azure AD group user, the group name doesn't have to match, which means it doesn't it is not required for you to create a group name matching with your Azure AD group name. These groups are just a identifier or a collection of your authorization settings which you can call upon while inviting a user or adding a group from the Azure Active Directory. So I hope this would have clarified for few folks who are not already using RBAC, and will help them to assign roles and access based upon the user persona within the organizations. So just wanted to bring a kind attention for everyone. You would have already received an email from the GoToWebinars portal that the dates has been updated. So the only date which has been updated is for the next month webinar, which has been preponed, and instead of happening on 27th of October, it has been moved 1 week ahead, and it will be happening on 20th of October. Uh, Either case, what you can do, either what the invite which you have received or the email notification you would have received, you can select the calendar there to update your calendar so that you get the pop-up at the right time, or else anyhow we will be sending an automated mail 1 day and 1 hour in advance for the webinars on 20th of October, so that you will have those email, and there also you will have your own personalized link to join into this webinar on 20th of October. So with this announcement, I will just thanks everyone for listening to us, and giving us this opportunity to take you through all the new features, and giving us your valuable feedback over the licensing survey conducted by Arvind. And see you next month. Until then, have a great day and a great month. Bye bye.